This is the exact paid ad strategy I used to generate $57,000 worth of profit, not revenue, profit for this brand. You can see here the Google ads the month before my system went live, the month of September, 5 conversions, 2.5K in revenue. And you can see the same Google ads account 53 days later, October 1st, my system went live, 51K in revenue from 55 conversions. And we added Meta as well, where we did 44 conversions for 43K, almost 44K in revenue. So how did I make that happen? As always, I'm going to show you the full strategy, but I'm going to have to go fast. I'm showing you a full setup in one YouTube video. So if you want all of the over-the-shoulder walkthroughs, play-by-plays, that's inside my school community. It's free to join at the moment, and there's a link in the first comment below. Okay, so here's the setup. I'm going to take you through each element individually. So we've got two types of products in this business. Some that are private label, so they're manufactured, better margins. Some that are drop shipped, so they're shipped directly from other manufacturers. We're just the retailer. Okay, so for that drop shipping side of the business, where we're reselling on behalf of manufacturers, I'm running the 3 tier funnel. I've done a whole video on this. If you want to go and check that out, I'll leave a link for it below. But essentially, that funnel works in this way. So we've got top of funnel keywords. There are generic ones that goes into one campaign. Middle of the funnel, that's more specific, but not super long tail. They go into our middle campaign. And then bottom of the funnel, this is our really high propensity to convert keywords. Examples of that, let's talk about a golf simulator business. The generic ones in that first campaign will be things like golf sim, cheapest launch monitor, how much space do I need, informational or generic terms. In the middle, we might have branded terms, or we might have more specific, I want the one that's indoor and retractable. And then finally, at the bottom of the funnel, we've got specific brand and product names, or indoor retractable, under 5,000, 8 foot wide, garage door, golf sim enclosure, really specific, high propensity to convert, and therefore very valuable, high intended keywords for our business. And we set those 3 campaign structures up and move keywords between them to bid the best and be the most competitive on the most valuable keywords for our business. That's how we generate great ROAS in shopping ads. Okay, then the next ad type that we layer on top are search text ads. These are great because they allow us to occupy the space above the organic listings and be really hyper specific. But most brands do this really poorly. Look at this: indoor inflatable golf simulator, very specific keyword with really generic text ads. Here you've got indoor golf net, just generic simulators in the other two. If we click into the landing page, you can see, if I have a look here for the keywords, if I look at inflatable, nothing on there. Indoor, nothing on there. Okay, so the two main parts of the keyword that I searched, indoor inflatable golf simulator, not hit. And that is because most brands run multi-keyword ad groups. They run text ads for anything to do with golf sim on really broad match, and therefore Google gives them a terrible landing page score in terms of relevance because it's not hitting the main keywords. And also, they have poor user signals because when the user gets on that landing page and it's not what they're looking for, they bounce, they show poor signals back to Google. So they have to bid a lot, and they also get poor intended traffic. Whereas we set up text ads to hyper targeted landing pages. So we would set up a landing page specifically for a collection full of indoor inflatable golf simulators, if that's a valuable keyword for us. So we have really high relevance, therefore we bid lower, get more traffic, and it lands in the perfect place and sends positive user signals back to Google. And then the final campaign type is a PMAX, Performance Max on Google. Okay, this works really well for the own branded products for this brand because the margins are high, 50 to 70%. This is generally quite poor for retailers selling high ticket products. So I'd be careful there. But because we have a couple of products that they make their own brand, it's great for that. And we have 2 campaign types within PMAX: guided and unguided. On the unguided, we give Google's algorithm full control. Why do we do that? Well, I've got a board game on screen. Why have I got the Chinese Go board game on screen? Because Google developed its PMAX functionality from a company that used an AI engine to play the best player in the world at Chinese Go. It's a bit like chess, okay? They gave it loads of information, taught it how to play this game, and it beat that person a reasonable amount of times, the majority. I think it was about 80%, but the human won about 20% of the time. Then they did a second iteration where they taught it nothing, and the AI machine won 100% of the time. The answer for that is, and then Google bought the software, right? And that tells us we should give Google's algorithm the opportunity not to be influenced and just purely learn from conversions, user signals, etc. Now, with high ticket, the problem we do have is there are fewer conversions because we're selling at, say, $1,000 price point rather than maybe 50. So we also have a guided campaign, and that's when we can put in audience signals, search themes, etc. So this is when we can start to pump in. These are some of the keywords that convert really well for us. These are some of the interests, the demographics. This is our email list. This is our previous purchases. This is everyone who's added to cart. That's giving Google data of what our ideal customers already look like for its campaign so that it can start to steer towards them. But we want to have two separate ones because we want to have one space where Google is uninfluenced and the algorithm can just purely learn over time. But we also have the guided campaign because it's going to take longer for the algorithm to learn with high ticket products. So we put those search themes and the data signals in there and have that as the separate campaign from the beginning. So that's our Google laydown, already very effective. That generated 51K, which is about 65K dollars in the period, which was 30 odd K dollars in gross profit. Okay. Now we've got Meta layered on top of that. Different audiences, different strengths. We want to do both if it's appropriate. Two campaign types that we use on Meta. The first is Advantage Plus. Advantage Plus is very similar to the unguided PMAX that we talked about before. It's Facebook's version of the algorithm, Meta's version, and we let it run and we let it learn from conversions. The lookalike audience is where we start to give it information. Now, I've got a 3% lookalike audience because this is in the UK, where Meta's addressable base is smaller population, right? In the US, I typically start with a 1% lookalike audience because in the US, Meta's addressable audience is about 250 million versus maybe 60 million in the UK. Now, what is a lookalike audience? Well, it's when we feed Meta with data. So we come create a custom audience and we can give it customer lists. So that might be people that are on our email list that have bought from us before, a pre-order list, basically anyone who's in our CRM as a customer who's high quality, the sort of person we want to get in front of more of, or people who are similar to them. Then the next data layer we want to put on top is things that happen on our website. We need our pixel set up on our website so it's capturing events. And some of the most positive events that we can see make up a high intent user to buy or purchase a product are things like they've purchased in the past, they've initiated a checkout, added to cart, have they viewed content about that product, maybe a comparison article or a best list or product reviews, for example. How long do they spend on site or on the product page? How many clicks do they make on that page? Do they watch videos, etc.? All of these point towards that being a high quality customer. And if we've got a high quality customer, we want to get in front of more people similar to that. And that's what the lookalike part of this audience is. So we're going to build that segment in Meta, and it's going to be a segment full of what our ideal customer looks like. And it will be full of factors like people who have visited a certain URL, spent a certain amount of time on page, all those things that we talked about previously. But we're not getting in front of them. We're getting in front of the customers on Meta that are most similar to them. That's why it's a lookalike audience. So if you choose a 3% lookalike audience, Meta is going to show your ads to the 3% of its base that are most similar demographically to those people. And that's things like age, gender, location, the language they speak. Then it's things like what's their job, what's their education, marital status. It's also things like Facebook pages they like, they interact with. So imagine you've got an ideal customer full of people who have bought your golf simulator before, and Meta therefore knows that married people in their 40s that have a house of a certain size with a garage, they have a certain job type. They also like pages to do with at-home golf, or they like to watch videos about golf on Meta itself. It's that predicted affinity that, based on the data we have and the customers that already buy from us, who are the people most similar to that, and then let's get in front of that audience. So there's our Meta ads, and that made up 43K worth of the money we made in this period. And that is everything we do from an acquisition perspective. So getting cold customers that haven't previously interacted with our business onto our product pages. But no funnel is complete without retargeting, because if you're lucky, conversion rate might be 1, 2%. So 1 or 2 of every 100 people that you pay per click for from Google or from Meta come onto your site. Well, that means that we've got, let's say, 98 of those people who don't. So I've got a video on this as well, and I'll link that in the comments below. We also run retargeting ads. This is a great tool, adcreative.ai, to set up retargeting ads to people who have been on your page. They've put their hand up and said, I'm interested in your ad, I'm interested in your product, but they haven't yet bought. So we send them through a funnel of retargeting. And in this example, we've got people who want to buy garden rooms, and we show them that we've got an installation team that takes care of everything. We focus on objections, on key features, on blockers and worries, and we hit those in our retargeting journey so that people who are in that browsing cycle come back to our site with the potential to buy. Final thing we did to get customers in our ecosystem is we had an email capture on the product page that we were sending people to from the ads. Whatever product page they landed on, we had a simple email capture, something like this. Okay, this one is for 400 free files for a laser engraver. You can see you land on the product page. After a little while of browsing, maybe 15 seconds, you get that pop up. What we actually used was a free giveaway. So we had something where it basically said, if you want this product for free, drop your email here. We'll put you in a competition and you might win a free one. Now, that gives us an email list full of people that we know have been on the product page and are interested in the product that we can then continually remarket to through an automated email flow. Now, this whole setup is simple for me. And to be honest, the results it generated weren't surprising because it's predictable. I've spent years inside ads accounts seeing this work, okay? And it's constantly evolving. But I can understand why, if you're relatively new to the ad space, why having to set up a 3-tier funnel, PMAX, Advantage Plus, retargeting, email capture, automated email flows, why that's very overwhelming. And unfortunately, ad engines are set up these days to make it really easy for you to set up campaigns and spend money with them, but to be honest, really difficult to optimize those settings. And if you don't have the knowledge of this sort of thing and the settings and the way the campaigns need to be set up, it really does put you at a disadvantage in both the industry, and then you end up having to pay agencies, etc. Which is why in the school community, we have over the shoulder of setting up all of these so you learn how to do it and can do it going forward and make the most out of your ad budget. Just a reminder, there's a link below to join that. It's free at the moment. See you in the next video.